Rock 100.5 KATT. My name is Cameron Buchholtz, and I am here with Chris Jericho of Fozzy. What's going on, man?
You tell me, man. What's going on with you? Was you ready to do some rock and roll shows in your town? Is what we're ready to do.
Indeed, man. Yeah, the big rock show hitting the Diamond Ballroom tomorrow night, and you guys out with Ugly Kid Joe. You're about 10 shows into the tour or something like that. How's it been going?
It's been good, man. It's been a good package. It's a great rock and roll show. It's a lot of fun, and I think it's been a while since we played Oklahoma City, so we're excited to return. It's going to be a killer show, of course, on a Saturday night. Saturday night's all right for fighting. Saturday night's all right for Fozzy.
Indeed, man. Indeed. Yeah, I think it's been like 9 years since you've been here. You did play Rocklahoma in the meantime, but
right.
Yeah, I think people are stoked. And it's kind of interesting. I was a little surprised to see you guys as support on this tour. I know it's Ugly Kid Joe's first tour in like 27 years, but I was a little surprised to see you guys opening.
Yeah, it's not really opening. It's co-headlining. We just go on before they do.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just one of those kind of things that we thought, let's give it a try and see how it works out. And it's been great. It's been a great tour. Like I said, they haven't been in the States for a while. And we've got the highest buzz we've ever had. We just finished our most successful headlining tour that we've ever done. So yeah, we thought we would give it a go and do the co-headlining thing, and it's been working out great.
Nice, man. Yeah, you guys kind of have the sweet spot, I suppose, where you go on before everybody gets too drunk or too tired, and then you guys get to get out of there a little early. You could have your own night after.
Well, I mean, I guess, you know what I mean? Like, I think that it's good for everybody because the Fozzy fans come early and, get to see us. And then if they decide to stick around for Ugly Kid Joe and they haven't heard of them before, then they get a chance to see them. And for Ugly Kid Joe fans that haven't heard of Fozzy before, they have no choice but to watch us.
Sure.
And then we blow them away.
Indeed, man. And you guys are out supporting the record Boombox, which came out, I think, just about exactly a year ago. And after the massive success of Judas, what kind of pressure did you feel to follow that up?
Obviously, a lot of pressure because Judas was, like you said, such a hit for us. And we knew that we really had a lot of spotlight on us, a lot of focus on us, and we had a lot of buzz after that record, especially since it went gold. Judas went gold. So we really wanted to spend the right time and get the right amount of songs. And then also, too, we started working on it right before the lockdown. And then when the lockdown happened, it's kind of like, well, we don't want to release this record when there's a lockdown because you can't support it and you can't go on tour and you can't do, radio and all that other stuff. As I move there. So we had it basically done and in the can for almost another year before it was released. So because you look at some bands, they put out records and they came and went with really nothing. I mean, I think of AC/DC Power Up.
Right.
They've yet to do a show for it. Now, AC/DC is obviously a lot different than Fozzy, but we didn't want to, have this great record come out and then not be able to capitalize on it. So we did wait. And we're glad that we did because it was another huge hit for us. Another 3 top 10 singles came out of it. And, we've been able to tour on it properly and we've been able to get the results from it that we wanted.
Nice. And so with that amount of downtime between the recording and the release, does that mean that the next record will come a lot quicker?
I think that maybe the days of doing full-length records for us are done.
Okay.
Because once again, talking about Boombox, we spent, the better part of 3 years on it. And we had 3 top 10 hits, Sane, Nowhere to Run, and I Still Burn. And we played 3 other songs live, Vulture Club, Purifier, Relax. But the other 6 songs are kind of gone. They're like residing in the Fozzy, dead song burial ground because you can't really play them live because you can only do so much new material live because we have so many other songs we have to do. And they weren't released as singles. So you spent all the time on, Army of One and Omen and The Worst Is Yet to Come. Those are all great tunes. My Great Wall, Ugly. I mean, those could all be hits. So instead of releasing those types of songs on an album where they're not going to be heard, we're going to, I think, start releasing one song at a time. And just instead of waiting 2 years for a new Fozzy record, there'll be a new song every 4 or 5 months. I think that's the way to do it. And that's what we're going to start doing. We're actually working on our new song right now, which should be out hopefully in the fall.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting right now of just there's so many different ways to do it and everybody's still kind of figuring it out. And I think just different methods work for different bands. But now going back to Judas, we've talked about how big of success that was, but what do you think it was about that song that connected so much and really brought you guys to that next level?
I mean, you can always pontificate on it and try and figure that out, but who really knows for sure? You know what I mean? Who knows? I mean, there's certain songs that you write where you think, oh, this is going to be a hit for sure. Top 10, number one, like Ugly on the Inside, for example. When I first heard that demo, I was like, oh, this is going to be our first number one. Didn't even get released as a single. Judas, the moment I heard it, I knew that it was going to start the record off. I knew it was going to start our show off on that tour. And I knew it should be the first single. And there was a little bit of pushback. I think that some guys in the record company wanted Painless to be the first single, which was another big hit for us. But Judas just was the one for me. I just related to it, the riff, I don't know. And it looks like I was right, because here we are. Like I mentioned, there's a gold record on my wall for Judas. Gets played in hockey arenas and football pitches and football stadiums around the world. Little kids love the song. I get videos every day on Twitter of little kids dancing to it and singing it. And obviously too, the fact that it's my ring music for AEW and New Japan, which people just started singing along to it on their own. So that helped as well. So it really has become the elusive hit single for us. And it really took things to the next level. It's Fozzy's Enter Sandman or Fozzy's Pour Some Sugar on Me. Like, I'm not saying it's as big as those songs. Maybe someday it will be, but for us, it is. And for our fans, it is. And people who don't really know Fozzy still know Judas. And that's a good place. That's a good thing to have.
Sure. And especially interesting for that to come, after you guys have been a band for 17 some odd years at that point. That must have felt good it almost validates all the time you put into it leading up to that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, obviously we've been a band since 2000, but it's been really since 2010 that we really started going full time. And I'd say since 2015, maybe even 2016, when we started realizing just how important rock radio is. And when you get played on rock radio, it really makes a big difference. And we've become a radio band. Like I said, yeah. 6 top 20 singles, 5 top 10s, whatever it may be. I mean, we're in that realm now, and you can really see that reflected in the numbers of our fans that come to the shows. Like I mentioned, our last tour was the biggest we'd ever had in the States as a headliner. Same thing happened in the UK. Same thing happened in Australia. So, it's just been really cool to see the difference since Judas and, I Still Burn and all those other songs that I mentioned getting so much airplay. I think I Still Burn was one of the top played songs on iHeartRadio last year, rock songs. So all that reflects on the band. So it's really important when you guys play us on your stations. We understand how important it is. And that's one of the reasons why I'll always be happy to do interviews with any station that wants it, but especially ones that support Fozzy, because it really makes a difference.
Nice, man. We appreciate that. But now Fozzy is doing most of these Ugly Kid Joe dates, but not all of them. I assume that's because of your AEW schedule. How difficult is that to balance the wrestling versus the bands and the tour?
Seemingly difficult, but it's really not. We structure our tours where we're working Thursday to Monday and we take Tuesday, Wednesday off. And that's when I'll do AEW or not. I mean, sometimes I can film something like this week. I filmed something that we did on the show the week prior when I was there. So, essentially AEW works once a week, at least I do. Sometimes there's a little bit more. We have a pay-per-view coming up where there's a few more days there. But overall, I think that it's much easier to manage than you might think. And we plan accordingly. We know when the tours are. We find out where, what's going to be happening with AEW and when the pay-per-views are and that sort of a thing, and kind of build our tours around that.
Nice, nice. And being here in Oklahoma, I got to bring up Jim Ross because essentially you're playing in his backyard tomorrow night. Like it's almost the same part of town that he lives
Oh, right
in.
on.
So
Yeah.
what are the chances he comes out to the Diamond Ballroom? Has he ever gone out to see Fozzy?
He has not. His late wife Jan probably would have dragged him out if she was still with us. But Jim, I think, lives in like Jacksonville now, as well as Oklahoma City. So he might not even be in town. But I will.
Yeah.
I'll call him. Maybe I'll see if he's around, and maybe he'll come down and rock out with the Foz. Have a couple drinks.
Indeed, man. Indeed. Yeah, he's such a great dude. He for a while recorded his podcast at our studio when he was in town. So it was awesome to have him around.
Great guy.
But now another thing that you just got into, because it's seemingly not busy enough, you just released a comic book. Kind of talk to me about that.
Well, about a year and a half ago, I experimented with a couple NFTs, which were very successful, revolved around the Painmaker, which is a character I played in Japan for wrestling. And I wanted to do more with the character and make it into more of a superhero, intergalactic serial killer who has now reformed himself and now travels the galaxy as a bounty hunter, killing other serial killers. And I just thought that was a really cool idea. So once the NFTs came out, which were kind of the introduction to the Painmaker, we thought, why don't we do a graphic novel, NFT graphic novel, and then do a physical version as well. So if you're into NFTs, people go nuts for it. And it's almost a living, breathing comic book. You know, if you shoot a gun in the comic book, it actually moves. And it's just a really cool vibe. And I think for the people who are into the NFTs, they're excited about it. And people who still like having the physical copy in your hand, they're excited about that as well. So my overall end game is to end up making a Painmaker movie, because you have to have a new superhero coming from somewhere. I've seen enough Spider-Man and Batman movies to last a lifetime. And you know they're scraping the bottom of the barrel when you have like an Ant-Man movie.
Sure,
it's like,
sure.
I grew up in the 70s reading comic books, and like Ant-Man was like low end of the totem pole. Nobody read Ant-Man.
Right.
So if they're going for that, somebody's going to be looking for a new superhero, and that's where the Painmaker comes in.
Nice, man. Nice. And with you being such a big Kiss fan, was there ever a thought of you putting your blood in the ink?
Maybe. But I didn't because it's NFT. I'd have to put my digital blood into the ink. But maybe I'll do that for the next issue of the comic itself.
Nice. And now I do want to mention your podcast too, Talk is Jericho, which is it's a Westwood One podcast. So we're a Cumulus station. So technically we're coworkers here. And but you were kind of
used to be. Now I'm on Sirius.
Oh, gotcha. Sirius. Well, never mind then.
Former coworkers. Yeah.
Gotcha. But you were one of the first wrestlers that I ever really heard about doing a podcast. I mean, maybe it was Colt Cabana and then you. What was kind of the impetus for that? And then how has it changed over the years now that podcasting has kind of become such a dominant force in media?
Well, I've always been interested. I'm a journalist by trade. I have a journalism degree. I like interacting and interviewing people. And I had a show on actually on Sirius, The Rock of Jericho. It was a rock and roll show where I would interview somebody for 30 minutes on each episode. And then the opportunity for a podcast came up. And I remember telling my original boss at Podcast One, I can't just do a wrestling podcast. Like, well, what else are you going to do? I'm like, dude, I got a million things that I'm into. So if you'll let me just do whatever I want, I'll do it. If you want just wrestling, go somewhere else. And so they let me do it. And that's when I started doing music and paranormal and, movie watch alongs and album reviews and porn stars and surfers and poker players and, whatever interests me. I get it on the show. And here we are 10 years later. I'm honing in on the 1000th episode, if you can believe that. And you're right. I mean, there is literally a million podcasts now. When I started, there was not. But I think because I was able to carve a niche out for myself and become pretty damn good at it, that's why my podcast is still super popular, because it's not easy to host a podcast. Everyone thinks that they can do it. And that's why you see so many of them come and go, because it's not easy to do. You really, really, really got to be into it. You got to have a passion for it. And, you got to treat it like a conversation. I never treat it as an interview. I never have questions. I don't prepare because if I meet you in a bar, I don't pull out a list of questions and go, hey, man, what's going on? How about this? How about this? You just have a chat, and wherever the conversation takes you is where it goes.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate the time so much, and super stoked for the show tomorrow night. And everybody should go out and see Fozzy at the Diamonds tomorrow night. And yeah, man, just thanks, and we'll see you at the show.
Yeah, we're excited, man. Fozzy's very much a rock and roll party. That's what we believe in. We want people to come and have a great time. It's Van Halen in 1979 wrapped up in radio music from 2023, you know? So if you haven't seen us, it's going to be a great show. If you have seen us, you know what to expect, and we're really looking forward to it. So we'll see you tomorrow night in OKC, baby.
Indeed, man. Well, thanks a lot.
Cheers, brother. Thank you.